Okay, everyone, I'm going to stall here a little bit. There's still people coming in. It's 6:30, so like I say, I'll just talk for a little bit, and as we wait for people to come in, I guess, good news that maybe everybody in the room doesn't know that's worth saying. We've got signs for Jim Byrd back in the back. He's running for U.S. Senate, which is really good. He's qualified and I think has a decent chance. This week, Lisa Kinney announced for U.S. House, so that's another really good thing. Lisa is actually from Laramie. She served in the Wyoming State Senate for Laramie for, I think, 8 years or 12 years, one of the two. But she's been out of politics for a while, but she's going to run for U.S. House, and I think, again, she's somebody that's got a good chance. That helps all our Laramie County candidates, right? If we have somebody good that's running at the federal level, it just means people are going to show up to vote. So it's all good.
Strangely enough, the Tribune Eagle had a full-page thing on her.
Yeah.
It details all her qualifications and stuff.
I wonder who sent that in. Anyway, so I guess that people are at least at the doorway. So you rolling, Jim? I'm going to call this meeting to order. Welcome, everybody. If you didn't see the pizza in the back, there's pizza in the back. Freddie and I really hate to take it home, so make sure you eat it all. There's also drinks in the cooler, water and some soft drinks and a few things. There's t-shirts back there. We still have t-shirts. I'll give you a really good deal on a t-shirt because we only have a couple left. Did we sell any t-shirts yet tonight? $10 and you can have a t-shirt. They were $20 the last time. So for $10 you can have a t-shirt. We've also got the little heart pins. Somebody have a heart pin on? You want to model a heart pin for everybody, Mimi? That's kind of just our little proof of being a Democrat in Laramie County, right? Little blue heart. I think Barb got about everybody that came in on the 50-50 raffle. So, if she didn't, there's a 50-50 raffle back there. The cards for the 50-50 raffle are only $1 a piece. Oh yeah, to let you know how a 50-50 raffle works. So however much money is in that bucket at the end of the night, the winner gets 50% and the Democratic Party gets 50%. So just a little fundraiser for us and maybe a way to buy dinner tomorrow night for whoever the lucky winner is. Let's see. I think that's the big stuff sort of to get out of the way. As you all know, I start every meeting with the vision and the mission. So our vision: we see a county with a diversified economy, vibrant downtowns in every community, expanded health care, great public education, and an inclusive community with affordable housing and excellent public services. And our simple mission is, we elect Democrats. That's, I love that mission. I've spent my whole life doing things in corporations, and people are always coming up with a new mission statement, and people always say it should be short. You can't get too much shorter than elect Democrats. Does everybody that wants to see the minutes of well, not last month's meeting, because last month, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the wind was blowing last month. So these are the minutes from February. So I'll give everybody my normal minute to read the minutes. While everybody's reading the minutes, I'll tell you a story about the wind. So we have a little ranch on the state line south of encampment. And when I was a little kid, they had some sort of a terrible windstorm there while Dad was in to the sprawling metropolis of Calgary, Colorado, getting the mail. And there was this little old hermit who had immigrated from Austria that hung out at the ranch. He had a cabin all by himself, but he hung out at the ranch and helped Dad, and just had, I think he just liked the company once in a while. And so Dad comes back home, and one of the buildings, there's no roof on it. The roof is gone. And Dad's, Jack, what happened? And Jack said, oh, the wind, she blew a little. So anyway, that's what was going on last month. So if everybody's looked at the minutes from February, are there any comments on? You move to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. So that means you're up, Mr. Cromley.
This is a 2-month report, and to repeat myself for every month, this is from January 1st, 2025, a 2-year period. So we're in the second year. Beginning balance in the 2025 was 9,400. I'm going to shorten these numbers. From the February report, the income was 15,200, and the expense for those from last February was 6,500. So balance for this report is 18,200. A lot of money, of course, was needed coming up for the elections. February income was, the donations were 773. The February 5th town hall's $84 donations. And the February 12th meeting was $152 total, $1,009. That's income. February expense was, okay, March income was donations solely, $715. For the income this period is $1,700. For February expense, the website, $93, storage unit, $84, and the office rent, $275, total $453. That's February. March expense, there was some of the events at the LCCC charged $327 for February 11th Town Hall, March 7th Town Hall, $214. The website monthly is $93. Facebook charges $196. The rent is $275, total $1,191. For the total for the 2 months is $1,645. And leaving, I mean, the final balance is $18,331. And I got some notes. Are there any questions? I realize.
As Dave has mentioned before, we're going to pretty much empty those coffers when our candidates start running. We're going to try to make a substantial contribution to everybody who runs in Laramie County. We're at the very least going to pay their filing fee. But there's going to be, I mean, I would think there's going to be some more money than that unless a flood of candidates shows up at the door this evening. Which brings me to the next topic. Josephine was going to make a presentation on make a plea for candidates, but I don't see Josephine. So I think you're stuck with me making the plea for candidates. I think we've done pretty well. We haven't had anybody, and I know everybody's anxious, I'm anxious for people to announce. And my advice has been, this is a good time to talk with your family, get organized, make sure that you really want to do this, and take a deep breath, because political junkies like all of us are really concerned right now about who's running, but the general population hasn't thought about it yet, and they're not going to think about it for a long time. So I know when I ran, I announced really early, followed a whole bunch of the conventional wisdom advice. By the time September rolled around and I really should have been putting my feet on the ground, I was tired. I was kind of over it, and I don't want that to happen to our candidates. I want this whole thing to be joyful, no matter what, win or lose. I want them to have fun with it. So nobody's really announced yet for the county offices, but I think if everybody that has made a commitment to me holds to their commitment, we have almost every state legislative office filled, every House district and every Senate district filled. There's a couple that we still don't have names for. If you know somebody that lives in the Pine Bluffs area, I introduced myself to the person running for House District 10 tonight, and she laughed at me. But we need somebody for that. And I would really, really, really like somebody for Senate District 5, which is, there's one city precinct in Senate District 5, it's 2-3. The rest of it is west of town and south of town in the county. It's the seat that's currently held by Lynn Hutchings, and it's where I live. So if nobody else runs, I'll have to. I don't want to do that. I've got other people to help. I don't want to be the one that has to run.
Do you have a map that shows where these districts are? Because I just don't know where they are.
Well, that's a great question, and the answer, unfortunately, is no. They don't do a nice map like that anymore. They do a really nice interactive map at the county, and I think there's a link to that on our website. And it, you know, so it keeps blowing up. But when I try to blow it up big enough to like put it on the wall, it loses all definition. It's one of those things that's designed to only be computer interactive. But you can get to it on our website. You can go to the front page on our website, and does anybody know what it says? The guy that wrote it's standing right here, but I don't remember what the button says. I think it's run for something, isn't it? Or run or something like that.
What is the website?
It's LaramieCountyDemocrats.org.
Okay.
No, you do.
Oh, thank you. Oh, wow.
And
Not much of the city property.
and then you can blow that map up and blow that map up if you go to the county clerk's.
Well, I live in the avenues. Where's that?
So the avenues is House District 41, I think, and
By the base.
yeah,
Okay.
House District 41. I think we have somebody running there. If I'm thinking of the right House district.
Marcy Kendrick is my neighbor now.
Oh, yeah, House District 41, and we do. There is someone I just talked to that's, at least she seemed very serious when I talked to her about running there. I might have to lean on you because nobody else has stepped up on Stivers District.
I might have a problem, I don't know. I was gonna retire, I work for the government. So I don't know, I think that'd be a problem.
Only 4 years, right?
It may be. I'll look into it. I'll find out for
I'll
sure.
move over to your house.
Yeah, there you go.
The if we cover all those Senate districts and everything, though, Senate and House districts, we still have. There's going to be 3 city council spots open, and I think at least 3 county commissioner spots. Those county commissioner spots are something that people don't often think about, and everybody pictures some farmer being the county commissioner, and I guess generally that's the way it's been, but if you think about it, everybody that lives in the city also lives in the county. They're eligible to be the county commissioner, and the thing I keep coming back to on county commissioner that I think is so important is they pick the library board. So if you're not happy with our current library board for Laramie County Library, which I'm not, the only way you're going to change that is by changing the county commissioner. There's one other seat I want to mention and that everybody's probably heard about that's going to be open, and somebody really ought to try to step up on that, and that's the county clerk. Deborah Lee is retiring. And Deborah Lee, she's a Republican, but she's been very, very good to us. And she's an honest woman, and she's done a great job. And I can only imagine what would happen to elections in Laramie County if somebody from the Freedom Caucus ends up with that. So we probably ought to think about, somebody that knows something about that kind of thing probably ought to think about that seat. Let's see. So anyway, if you can't run, find somebody to run. That's really important. I think it's so important to have people. There are some seats that we know our chances of winning are not that great, but if we don't run anybody there, that really hurts seats where we do have a good chance, because it hurts turnout. If we don't have Democratic candidates, it hurts turnout. So we have to have Democratic candidates. I mean, I'd really like to have one in every race. And I guess there's still time, right? I can be an optimist and say, we're going to get one in every race. So I can hope. So that's my little spiel on being a candidate.
Did you mention registration, when we're going to register to vote? I mean, when these candidates have to register, the date?
Oh, sure, sure. So these dates are, I guess, coming up. They've been a long way off for the last couple of times we've met. The last date that you can change your registration in this election cycle is May the 13th. So if
Signing up to run.
well, no, this is for changing your registration for anybody. There's, you know, party switching is a big deal, which don't get me on my soapbox about party switching, but party switching is a big deal in Wyoming. The last day that you can do that in this election cycle is May the 13th. The next day, May the 14th, is the first day that you can file as a candidate in the state of Wyoming for any of our seats.
Didn't I see somewhere where somebody filed a lawsuit on the deadline for switching parties?
They did, but I don't think it's going to be, as far as I know, it's not going to be decided before this.
As I recall, it was the First Amendment, freedom of association.
Well, sure. Yeah, and I think they've probably got a legitimate case, but I don't think it's going to happen before this election. I think we can count on it probably not happening. So May the 29th is the last date to file. And then August 18th, Tuesday, August 18th is the primary. And because as a party, we're really not supposed to take sides when there's a primary. If there's a contested primary, we won't distribute money to anybody until after somebody wins the primary. And I would love it if there was some contested primaries. That would make me happy. Just again, because it creates energy and buzz. And a friend of mine who's been really active in the party in Douglas for years and years and years has said that the best they ever did as Democrats in her county was when they had contested primaries, because it just got people interested in the election early. And like I say, most people are not interested in the election yet. So that's my spiel on candidates. Did I forget anything?
And this little pamphlet, I don't know if y'all have had this, because this is our very last one. I think we've run out, we gotta get these reprinted. But this has all the offices that are going to be.
Right. And there's a bunch of them.
Also the dates, all the deadlines and dates on this.
And if you now I do know where there are some of those at our office, which is at 325, Suite 325 in the Paramount Building, which is unfortunately up 3 flights of stairs, right? But there's a little mailbox outside the office, and there's a bunch. I put a bunch of those pamphlets in there when I first had the pamphlets made, and I know there's still some there. So if you wanted one before I can get more made, and if you want one, just, chair at LaramieCountyDemocrats.org, that's me. Just drop me an email and I'll send you a pamphlet.
List of all the open offices?
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's all the offices that will be open for election on this 2026 general election. They're on this pamphlet.
Yeah, that's the one, yeah.
So if you want to pass them around and
Yeah.
get them back?
Yeah, if you could get them back to Nancy, she'll pass them around and you can look at it. The amazing thing is, I mean, you wouldn't think that there's that many elected offices, but there's 53 openings, 53 races that you could run for.
What about Sarah Burlingame?
Have not heard from her this election cycle.
She's getting on TV and everything. She might be a good one. Pass them down. Anybody else?
I didn't think she would. I thought some of the people that have run in the past that have been good candidates are kind of burned out. I understand. I was burned out for a while myself. Josephine, I stole all your thunder.
Soccer practice till 6:30 on Thursdays.
Oh gosh.
Trying to hurry, I apologize.
So the next thing, anything else on candidates? Freddie, did I forget anything else?
No, I think that's good. I just, it is tick-tock. I mean, we're getting down to whatever, 6 weeks or so till we.
Right. Oh, I know something. Well, we'll talk about it when Kathleen and I talk about events too. But while I'm talking about candidates, this Saturday at 9 o'clock in room CCC 178 at the community college. If you're interested in running and want to know some of the mechanics of how to do it, like what do I have to do first? And how do I register with the Secretary of State and all that stuff? I'm going to be there having coffee and cinnamon rolls. And anybody that wants to be a candidate can come and join me and have coffee and cinnamon rolls. And we'll talk about, like I say, this is just the early mechanics. I've learned some things the hard way that are worth other people knowing. So I know that the first thing you have to do is you have to have a treasurer, because everything else that falls out of that, everything else you need to do requires that you have a treasurer to sign stuff. So that's the first step. And we'll talk about all the other steps on Saturday. And also, I just want to point out that the cinnamon rolls that they make at Laramie County Community College are the best cinnamon rolls I've had in Cheyenne since the Owl Inn closed. So.
Dating ourselves there.
So, yeah. The next thing on my agenda is my challenge for you all. We're all here because we want to be activists and we want to change the world, right? Here's our chance. So, there's 35,000 people in Laramie County that are not registered to vote. That's more people than there are Republicans in Laramie County.
Oh,
You each get two.
Oh, we each get two.
You each get two. There are,
Is one of those in Spanish?
yes.
Good.
One side's English, one side's Spanish. It's very difficult to, well, let me just say, the only person who can register somebody to vote in Wyoming is the county clerk. We can assist people in putting together the paperwork so that they can register by mail. But to do that, we have to have a notary, and we have to have a color printer because they need to send in I need more of these. They need to send in a copy of their driver's license, so you have to have a color printer. So it's not easy to do. And then once you do all that, they have to be the ones that mail it in. We can't mail it in. So what do we do about that? How do we overcome that?
So everybody gets two of these, so we each get two voters to sign up.
Well, everybody gets two voters to sign up. Everybody. If there's 35,000 people that are not registered to vote in Laramie County, I guarantee that every one of us knows two people that aren't registered to vote. We have to. I mean, just by math, we have to know two people that are not registered to vote. So my challenge is, find two people that aren't registered to vote and get them to fill out this little, this little pledge to register to vote. And then the neat thing about these is that it's perforated, so they get to keep the top part, which gives them all the good reasons to register to vote in 2 languages. And we get to keep the bottom part, which gives us their name, their signature, their phone number, and their email. And that means that if you guys bring these back to me, I can call them and pester them and say, "Hi, this is Ted Hanlon, and I was just wondering if you had a chance to register to vote yet." And I'm very persistent. And I promise that they're going to be so tired of me calling them that they're going to go register to vote. There's just no doubt. So that's my solution to getting people registered to vote. And to me, probably in the last week, I bet 10 times between people like you all who are Democratic activists that I met at protests or just in my general conversation, or people in the press, because as I've talked to them about candidates and so on, people tell me, "Ted, what's the path to victory for a Democrat in Wyoming?" And so I've got a pretty practiced answer at this point, and I think there's 2 things that go into that path. One is that the Freedom Caucus is really hateful. And so I think that gives us a path to victory, because I have not talked to an old-time mainstream Republican that likes any of those people. So I think that gives us a real path to victory. The second one is all those people who are not registered to vote, 35,000 people in Laramie County. it's like, I'll probably get this number wrong because I don't worry so much about the state as a whole, but I think there's 160,000 people who are voting age adults who are not registered to vote in the state of Wyoming. That's our path to victory for every one of our candidates, for people running statewide races, for people running in the county, for people running for city council. That's our path to victory. Get those people registered to vote.
Are they allowed to have like a booth out at the college?
So WIC does a booth out at the college. They do a booth out there, I don't know, probably monthly. And I think they've done pretty well. But I've done those booths, and they are not that effective. I mean, I have, in 2021, I guess, I had booths set up all over town. I thought it was really cool because, you know, you have to have that color printer and everything. So I had a solar panel and an inverter so I could run the printer and all that stuff. I thought it was pretty slick. Yeah, and I got my notary license and everything. And I think doing that, days and days in the hot sun the whole summer, I think I may have registered, I think the number is 16 people to vote, and 10 of them were Republicans.
That's hilarious. I still think, like, are they pushed, like, when I was in high school, they had like voter registration day, you know, for anybody that was going to be 18. Do they do that here?
No, but we've been going to the high schools every year around, for the seniors, around the end of the year.
Yeah, and I think I just read that WIC is going out there about right now to go to the high schools. So they are the only avenue to get kids registered in the high school.
What is WIC?
It's the Wyoming Independent Citizens Coalition.
That's the way God
So,
I worked with them, and I still like.
so what I just gave you guys is going to be the most effective, I promise. I promise if every one of us registers 2 people, and I'm going to take up the challenge myself, registers 2 people, that's going to be more people than I would have registered setting up a booth every day downtown. All we got to do is do it. And we got to know somebody. Everybody's got to know somebody. And it's also been proven to be the most effective way. Yes?
I asked my hairdresser, or whatever they call them, if she was registered to vote. She said, I don't vote. And I said, okay, Erin, you are a small business owner. What do you think about some of the things that the people on the city council are doing? And she perked up. She had no interest in who was going to be president or who was going to be senator, but she did, if you can somehow get it to their level of concern.
Yes.
She's like, oh, how do I do that then? So,
Right, right. And I think that's right in every case. And speaking of hairdressers, another very fertile ground that I have discovered. I hate to give it away because I got to get 2 of these signed too. I hate to give my secret away, but the baristas in coffee shops, almost none of them are registered to vote, and for some reason they're pretty amenable to my persuasion, and they'll usually try to register to vote. Of the Democrats I registered, I had a booth set up outside behind the Paramount back when you used to be able to sit back there before they made it all into a parking lot. And the most people I registered were baristas that were working in a Paramount coffee shop. I could have just avoided the booth and gone to the coffee shop.
But you got that, all those steps you outlined you have to do before they can mail it in themselves and stuff. How do you?
Well, so what you do with this is you just tell them, go to the county clerk. That's the thing they have to do.
So what you're gonna do is get all their information. You're gonna get their information so you can follow up with them to see if they actually did it.
Yes.
In
They
this,
get the top part.
And they get the top part that's got all the instructions.
I
And
worked for the census. There was a lot of problems with the government in La Migra
yeah,
stuff back then, and that was before ICE and all the stuff that they're doing now. And so I have a feeling that especially in the Latin population, we're gonna run into that. One of the things that helped me then, and it can't really apply, I guess now, was a thing in Spanish saying, we're not ICE, we're doing it to get money for hospitals, money for libraries, and this is the census stuff. Because I don't speak enough Spanish to discuss this with somebody. I can show them this if they can read,
yeah.
you know, but I think that's gonna be a,
Oh, I think it will be an issue, and I don't really know what to do about it. You know, I mean, that's the, I guess the one thing that we are kind of doing about it, one of the things that becomes an issue for people is not having a driver's license. And there's a box down there they can check that says, I need help getting a driver's license. And we'll help them get a driver's license. Because that's the gold standard for so many things. I mean, it's the gold standard for registering to vote. If you have a Wyoming driver's license or state ID card if you don't drive, it makes registering to vote pretty easy. It also makes going to the hospital easier. It makes so many things easier. So we can really help people. We can really change the world if we can help some people get a driver's license.
Is there a concern about getting, or pressuring people to get passports? Or is that kind of an over-exaggerated concern right now?
I think for Wyoming, the way Wyoming's law works and my conversations with Deborah Lee, a Wyoming driver's license, which is a real ID, quote, is the gold standard for her. For her, that answers all the questions.
She's leaving.
Yes, but it's after this election, so she'll at least be here for this one.
Or doing a passport, that's paying poll tax. If you ever get a passport to be able to vote,
Yeah,
that's
If-
illegal.
If that's something that,
yeah.
for anybody in here to be filled, like that's worth trying to do.
No, I think if we can get them a driver's license, a Wyoming driver's license, that's the thing. And the Wyoming driver's license, you know, costs money too, right? So we can probably help people with it. If they check that little box, I need help, maybe that's something we can help them with too. We're going to get to fundraising in a minute, so.
Can I say a clarification here? I did some talking with the people down at the Election Commission. A Wyoming Real ID, when you give them the documents that make you eligible for the Real ID, one of those documents is a green card. Therefore, a Real ID in Wyoming doesn't necessarily mean you're a U.S. citizen. However, the legislature passed at some point that if a green card was the basis for your Real ID, it now says on it, on the back, not a citizen. And it has some sort of codes on the front. Now, if somebody wants to do somebody a favor, the ladies down there at the counter said, we've heard that's what they look like, but we've never seen one, which is kind of obvious. So if you know somebody with a Real ID that got it with a green card and has that mark on it, why don't you go down there and show them what one looks like? But the other thing I wanted to mention, Ted, if they don't want to go through all this paperwork, tell them what do they need to show up to the polls to register at the poll.
Well, right.
And that would be your photo ID and your birth certificate or
your Wyoming driver's license and I think probably proof of residency now, right?
I think all I got, because I registered people, and it was just their ID.
Yeah, but they changed the law last July, so I don't really know what they changed. Do you know, Angela? If you have a Wyoming driver's license, do you still need to have proof of residency, like a
utility bill or something?
utility bill?
With an address on it.
their important thing is something that shows your address so they know what precinct you're in.
Yeah. Well, and usually people have that on their driver's license, but that doesn't necessarily prove that you live there. And they take things like, a utility bill or something like that to prove you live there.
So you can still register at the polls?
You can, in Wyoming, you can register the day that you vote, but you have to.
Recommend it though, because your lines are pretty long.
And you will have to have the proper documentation, and that's what I worry about. The people just showing up to the polls, they don't have everything they need to prove that they can register. Because I typically don't wander around with a utility bill in my pocket.
Maybe when it gets, but a household only gets one utility bill.
What?
A household only gets one utility bill. So what if it's your son or daughter or?
Or like in my case, I'm a kept man. It's Freddie's utility bill. I mean,
We all have to come up at the same time.
yeah, yeah.
And this is all dependent on that SAVE Act. I haven't heard the latest on the
Well,
SAVE Act.
and the SAVE Act's probably not going to apply to our election. The hard things that we're talking about are laws that the Freedom Caucus passed last year in the legislature, in the 25 legislature. So basically, everything they passed, I think it's pretty much mirrors the SAVE Act. I mean, that's why the Freedom Caucus exists, right? To try things out in little old Wyoming so they can try to do it on the national level. And so pretty much everything that is in the SAVE Act, we have to do now.
I think as we get closer to election days, we can put out information about, hey, if you didn't listen to us and register already, and you're gonna be that guy on that day, here's what you need to bring.
Right.
And we'll have it pulled together by
Yeah, we
then.
need to get this pulled together.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll have answers by then.
And one more thing. If you look at the Laramie County election website, you'll see that the last general election turnout in Laramie County was 107%. So I went down there, I asked them, how do you get 107% turnout? And the reason is, they take how many people voted and divide it by how many people were registered the day before. The difference is same-day registrations. So if you're getting 107 turnout, then that tells me it's not that hard to register at the poll.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's true. But again, you know, we're talking about this vast 35,000 people in Laramie County that for some reason thought it was too hard so far.
How big is Laramie County?
100,000 people in Laramie County. But adults in Laramie County, there's only about, I don't know, 70,000 adults. It's almost exactly half. Almost exactly half of the adults in Laramie County aren't registered to vote.
It's shocking.
Yeah, but how many of those live in like Auburn and Pembroke and?
Oh, some of them. Some of them probably. But I would bet a bunch of them live in the mobile home parks south of town. You know, I mean, unless you've been in those mobile home parks south of town, you can't imagine how big they are. I've lived in Cheyenne almost all my life, and until I was campaigning and went out to those mobile home parks, I had no idea how big they are. I think there are like 860 some addresses in South Fork Mobile Home Park alone, and I'll bet in those mobile home parks many people aren't registered because they're young and they don't have much money and they don't think voting's important and all the things that we're talking about. And so there's plenty of people we know. We just have to find them and get them to register.
What does it cost? That's the first question somebody would ask.
Well, whatever a driver's license costs, that's the only cost if you don't have a driver's license, right? It doesn't cost anything to register as long as you have already paid for a driver's license.
I can't remember.
If you don't have the money, the DMV is required to give a Wyoming
ID card.
free of charge.
Right.
And they will do that.
Yeah.
But they don't, at the elections, they say they don't see those very often.
But that's allowed as a valid ID then?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's just like a driver's license, it just, you can't drive with it. It's a good ID. It's the same ID as a driver's license.
And if you say it's for election ID, they have to give it to you free.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people are gonna say, how much is it gonna cost me, besides going all the way out to hell and gone to go to the driver's license bureau.
Yeah.
In 2 days.
Maybe we could get a party bus and go to Laramie one day, because I hear it's fast. Like, yeah, you need one, get on the party bus.
There you go.
Courtesy of the Dems. Enjoy.
Anything else on registering people to vote? I'm gonna hold you to it at the May meeting. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37 people at the meeting tonight. So that means that we need 37 times 2, 74. 74 people are going to be registered next month that aren't registered right now, right?
76.
I counted me the first time through, yeah. So anyway, that's the challenge.
It's legal to still go door to door like you would for
Yeah,
anything else.
yeah, definitely legal. It's probably more legal than going door to door trying to sell something, because I think a lawyer could make the argument that it's First Amendment protected free speech. So,
Can we recommend that they register Democrat? Are we allowed to do that?
I'm a member of the Democratic Party.
yeah, you can. There's nothing wrong with saying that. I will say, however, that first of all, almost everybody that's not registered would probably register as a Democrat, I'm guessing. And secondly, it has been proven statistically that no matter what party people register for, if the percentage of registered voters goes up, Democrats win more. So it really doesn't matter to us that much.
We're not bound by anything.
But we're not bound by anything. When I was doing my voter registration things, the county clerk told me she would really prefer it if I tried to be nonpartisan, but I don't think you have to be. Again, it's First Amendment protected free speech, right?
What about at the
Slipping any
rallies?
money
You
down.
just need to be safe too. You need to be safe as well.
Yeah.
So that we're not bound by anything.
So I'm going to try to talk about upcoming events, and Kathleen's going to help me out because she knows all the dates.
Oh, yeah, sure. I didn't bring my book with me, but we'll try.
We'll try. So the first date is the one I talked about at the beginning of the meeting. This Saturday, we're having a candidate coffee with Ted, and I'm just going to try to tell people what to do next if they really want to run. That's at CCC 178 at the community college.
Is that gonna be listed in the events of the day in the paper?
Probably not. Probably not. And the biggest reason for that is it's kind of private for the candidates still at this point. None of these people have announced. And so I just want people to be able to come in sort of a safe place and learn about the next step.
Boy, we need a safe place.
Oh, yeah.
Is it the 60s again?
Ted, could you repeat that?
Sure. It's CCC 178.
170. And it's in the newsletter. All this.
Yeah, this is in the newsletter. If you get the newsletter, it's in the newsletter. We're having a social hour at the office on the 23rd.
The 23rd from 4 to 7, and it's just in the bar area. We're gonna have some reserved space in there just to mix and mingle. You don't have to drink, you can order food.
And that's the third floor office, is that what they're talking?
No, this is the office, the bar. You know, they have that one bar they call the office. Clever, right? Like the bar across the street from the dorms that used to be the library. The next date is April 25th. Same room as I mentioned before, same time. I'm going to have another little candidate thing. Just
CCC, what,
178, CCC 178. And these people at the community college do a wonderful job of putting signs up and everything, so if you get to the right building, you're going to find the right room. And see, the CCC is, if you go in on the north side of campus, if you know where the Pathfinder building is, it's right behind the Pathfinder building.
We don't have too much with May at this point. We have our social hour.
Yeah, we have a May social hour.
First, I think.
May 21st is
21st.
May social hour, and that's gonna be at the Blue Raven Brewery. And again, it's just to get together.
And then, of course, our monthly meeting in May will be the second Thursday, like it always is, which I think is 14th. Yeah, 14th.
Yep, wrong color.
14th. Okay, so I think that's all the events that we probably can keep in mind right now. We talked about fundraising last night. We had a
Mention one other thing.
oh sure.
Convention coming up.
Oh yeah. That's very much worth mentioning. So, the state Democratic Convention is going to be June 6th this year in Casper. They've got a block of rooms at the Best Western. So we need 57 delegates. We don't need, but we would really like to have, from Laramie County, 57 delegates to that state convention. So if you're interested in a trip to Casper on June the 6th, it would be wonderful to see you there. There's a mixer the night before because this convention basically goes all day, so you'd be leaving early in the morning from Cheyenne to drive to Casper. So probably a person would want to stay overnight, so there's a mixer the night before on the 5th. The Nellie Taylor Ross dinner, which some of you may remember being in Cheyenne for quite a few years, will be the night of June 6th in Casper. So Nellie Taylor Ross is the biggest fundraiser the state Democratic Party does for the year. So it's a big dinner. There's going to be a silent auction they generally try to get a good speaker in. I haven't heard who the speaker is. You haven't heard, have you, Kate? So that's the night of the 6th. And then the state central committee meeting is the next day. So Kate and me and Josephine and Eddie will hopefully all be at the state committee meeting, or yeah, central committee meeting the next day.
Is there some central register that all the people from Laramie County who are going to it have to sign up for, to let people know?
Yes, yeah, and you.
57?
57, yeah.
That's 3 times as many people as here, right?
Yeah.
Not everyone has to go there.
Right, and that's the thing. If you sign up even if you can't go. I'll send a special email out maybe tomorrow with the link, because the state has a link and they have a way to sign up even if you can't go, because we can carry proxies for people. We can carry 1 proxy, Kate, or 2.
I think 2.
I think 2. Go ahead, Lynn.
How do you sign up?
I'll send that link tomorrow. I'll send everybody a link in the.
In your newsletter?
I don't think I put it in the newsletter. I should have, Lynn, but I'll send a midweek newsletter tomorrow and put that link in there. Because the thing is that you can sign up. There's 2 signups, right? One is I want to be a delegate, but I can't go. So that means we can get a proxy for you. And the other is I'm going, so I can carry 2 proxies. So if we can get 25 people to go, I think we can cover our 57 votes. But it's good to cover all the votes. We're the biggest county in the state. We ought to have more to say about things than anybody else in the state, so it'd be nice if we all showed up, right?
Plus, it's very interesting.
Oh, it is very interesting. And there's some cool Democrats in the state of Wyoming. There's not very many of us, but there's some really cool people in the state of Wyoming. Really have made some really good friends with those people that I would never have made otherwise if it wasn't for those meetings. Anything else on events?
I have a question on the proxies. So when we had our Laramie County meeting, the big one, where we put together our, whatever it was called. If we signed up there, are we already signed up, or do we need to re-sign up when you send the link?
I will make sure that if you sign that I get you on that link.
I don't mind signing up again, I just want to make sure.
You don't sign up twice and all that. If I send the link, why don't you sign up and
You'll weed us out.
yeah, we'll weed you out somehow. Because I know Greg Haas is the one that put these links together, and he really likes the technology, and so he'll be really pleased if everybody signs up with the link. Anything else? Okay, so we're going to talk about fundraising, last thing. So there's, remember our mission, elect Democrats. There's 3 things we have to do that. We have to have candidates, we have to have voters, hence the voter registration, and we have to have money. If we have those 3 ingredients, we elect Democrats. So we talked about fundraising last night at a meeting. People had a lot of good ideas. Some of them have not come to fruition yet, but some of them have. The 50-50 raffle that we're going to have at every event from now on was one of the ideas that came out of this. I think that's a really good idea. My personal favorite is donate $5 a month to our Act Blue. You can get to that on our website. If everybody's donating $5 a month, then that's income I know is coming in, and it just gives me peace at night. So if you're interested in giving me peace at night, that's one way to do it.
And it's different than the state part.
Right. If you go to our website and sign up, you're signing up to make a $5 contribution to the county. And I'm biased, but I think that's a better $5 than any other $5 you could spend. The other thing about that kind of fundraising is that an anonymous donor is going to match $1,000. She gave me this tonight. So the first $1,000 that we raise with our Act Blue from this moment until we get to $1,000, that all gets matched. So if we were looking for an extra incentive to go to Act Blue when you get home, in fact, if you've got a smartphone, I'll give you 5 minutes now. Anyway, generous offer, an easy way to double our money. Oh, and back in the back, Barb's got the QR code. If you want to shoot it with the smartphone, it goes right to our ActBlue. We're trying to make it as easy as we can. Y'all know we generally have a speaker. Due to no fault of her own, we had a windstorm last time she was supposed to be here. I didn't tell her in time when the meeting was this time, so the speaker didn't make it. She's going to come in June, right, Mimi? The speaker in May, we talked about this at our fundraising meeting last night. We are hoping to get the executive director of the Wyoming Democratic Party, Scott Merrifield, or the chair of the Wyoming Democratic Party, Lucas Freilich, to come and talk to us about what they're going to do for candidates in this election cycle.
Fantastic. Maybe they can clear the messages off the phones.
Yeah. Do not hold your breath on that, because I've been talking to him about that for a year, and I've even offered to buy them a phone, and we got nowhere on that yet. But that would really be good. That'd be a question to ask. Come and ask that question, if you would. That would be really nice. I even asked, and I don't know if they've done that, I asked, if your phone's not going to work, can you at least take the phone number off your website? I don't know if they've done that. But,
Well, honestly, it makes me a little bit hesitant to even try to send an email.
oh, I know. Anyway, they'll be here. We can ask them some questions. Bring your hard questions. It'll make me happy. I'll enjoy it. I'll be able to sit back in the back and enjoy it. So, because they kind of think I'm a rabble-rouser, I think. So it'd be nice if they knew I was just representing the people of Laramie County.
We're the rabble.
Yeah. I think that's it. We talked about the 50-50. Oh, we have to do the 50-50 raffle. That's why it's on my agenda. So we have to do a 50-50 raffle. So,
Does everybody know what a 50/50 raffle is?
No.
okay, let me talk about 50-50 raffles, and maybe we can sell some more tickets before we go. So what we do is we give you a playing card for $1. We don't give you a playing card. You pay us $1 for a playing card. We've got a whole bunch of playing cards, so you can buy as many as you want. You tear the card in half. You keep one half. We keep the other half. Shake it all up, and we draw a card. Whoever wins, whoever holds the other half of this card, gets half the money we raised with this 50-50 raffle tonight. And the Laramie County Democratic Party gets the other half. Seems like a fair deal to me.
Does anybody want to buy tickets before we do it?
So does anybody want to buy a card before we do it? So when we're trying to get people to register to vote, and let's say we decided to go door to door, because believe me, before this year is out, that's what we're going to be doing, because we're going to get some people registered to vote. So the question to ask, that was a very, very good point. The question to ask at the door is, because people, if you ask, are you registered to vote, people might actually lie, because nobody wants to sound like, they don't care. A much better question is, did you vote in the 24 election? Because if they did not vote in the 24 election, they are not registered to vote. They were removed from the rolls, guaranteed. And so if they say they didn't vote in the election, they're either saying they never vote, in which case they need to register, or they're saying that they lost the right to vote when they didn't vote in the 24 election. That's thank you very much for making that point.
She said that she registered when she was in high school and that it still counted, so not if you haven't voted.
Yeah, that's.
We'll still make a video about that, because Holly and I were talking like 2 days ago about it again. So.
That'd be great. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that.
One of our party members, she got divorced and changed her name. She didn't know she wasn't registered. So we're going to make a whole video about, like, does this sound like you? Then probably not registered anymore, and here's how you do it. So.
Yeah.
So I got a question, Ted. I went down last week and changed my registration from Democrat to Republican, and I will be a Republican when I show up at the polls for the primary. A couple days after I vote there, I'll go back and change my
You can't.
registration.
But it
Not-
doesn't make any
It
difference.
doesn't make any difference.
You can vote in the general for anybody you want, but you can't change your registration again until after this, yeah.
My question is are there any issues with doing that in terms of like Democratic Party's place on the ballot? Do we have to have a minimum number of votes?
Yes, there are several issues. Sorry about this, but it's one of my soapbox issues. So the first issue is that we stand the risk of becoming a minority party in Wyoming. I don't know what that ends up being, but I don't think we have to fall very far below what we are. I think we've got 12% of the people that are registered to vote in Laramie County are registered as Democrats. So if we go, I don't know what it is. I think it might be 10. I don't know. But so we'll become a minority party. That has some implications for how we get people on the ballot and all that kind of thing. So that's one thing. Every person who registers as a Republican in Laramie County guarantees that the Republican Party in Laramie County will send money to the state party. They send money for everybody that's registered to vote as a Republican. The other money aspect of this is that when the DNC looks at Laramie County and they see that 12% of the county is a registered Democrat, I promise you I can't get any money from them. They don't care. And I know for a fact they don't care because I don't have any money from the DNC. So that's another issue. The other thing that this impacts to me is our candidates who want to run. Because I can't tell you how many candidates, some really good candidates, and some of these are statewide people that have a pretty high profile that I asked to run for governor, and they're like, there's no path for me to get more than 35% of the vote. I'm not going to run. And so when they don't run, then good people say, there's no sense registering as a Democrat, and so more people register as Republicans, and pretty soon we will be a minor party.
How did Friedenthal become a governor then? He was a Democrat, isn't he?
But the numbers were different. The numbers were a lot different. When I grew up in Laramie County, this was a blue county. Laramie County was blue, reliably blue, and really the whole I-80 corridor was blue because, and it was, you know, Railroad Union. That's what made it blue at the time. But it's, you know, every year it's less, right? Every year there's fewer Democrats registered.
Also, it doesn't really work.
Yeah.
Your last
I did that, and I kind of regret it.
I
did it for, you know, when Cheney, and I wondered if I wanted to vote for
Cheney.
When she was running against Rod Miller,
Yeah.
I thought, hey, he'd make pretty good, you know.
Yeah.
I changed, and I changed for another reason too. But it didn't do any good. It didn't do any.
Well, and again, if you look at the math,
Yeah.
if you look at the numbers, we don't have enough Democrats to sway a race.
So I brought a guy here to one of our meetings. He wanted to run against Chuck Gray. And then when I talked to him later, he said all his friends talked him out of it because there's not enough registered Democrats. I mean, that's what they look at. And so he's not running.
Well, my question is, when does that determination get made?
Well, I can tell you people look at it all the time. I look at it every month. So I get numbers from the Secretary of State every month, and it's kind of my report card on me. And I look to see if that number's going up or going down. And it makes a big difference to me. That's another reason that I think it would be pretty fantastic for a bunch of people to switch to Democrat. You know, Chuck Gray is looking at this number all the time. Wouldn't it be just a FU to Chuck Gray for about 1,000 Laramie County Democrats or Republicans to switch to Democrat?
Well, I'm no political scientist, but I think that the fact that we've had Mark Gordon as governor probably had to do with a bunch of bozos like me that said, I'm going to vote in that primary.
I don't think so.
Convince me if I'm wrong.
I mean, so believe me, this is a big deal to the Democratic Party, and we've looked at every race, and there is not a race people keep bringing up a couple races in Teton County, but there's not a statewide race, and certainly not a race in Laramie County that's been flipped by somebody that switched to the Republican Party at the primary.
1,000 votes or something like that, isn't it? It's not a huge, when you're switching from Democrat to Republican, it's not a big enough amount.
There's not enough.
Make it,
Not enough
make
Democrats
that
to make a
that
difference.
candidate win.
Well, so the number that I usually use, and this is, you know, a shocking number, but it's shocking so I remember it. In the primary where Cheney ran against Hageman,
I call her hagfish.
Cheney got 43,000 votes. Hageman got 114,000 votes. There's not enough Democrats to make that up. There's no way. You can't do it.
I get that, but like I say, the Mark Gordon example seems to be more germane, where you have like 4 Republican candidates, and 3 of them are kind of off the edge on the far right. And you got Gordon, who's not he doesn't represent my views, but he's like a lot closer than the Freedom Caucus.
Well,
And in those cases, just, you know, in the primary. But if it doesn't, if I'm doing more harm than good, and it occurred to me that I might be, well, I'd do it, but.
You would make me so happy. I would be forever in your debt if you undid it. Another thing to think about in this race, the race that I keep hearing people switching for, and I'm not going to ask you who you switch for, but I keep hearing that people are switching for Eric Barlow. If you look at Eric's voting record and compare it to anybody in the Freedom Caucus, I find it hard to believe that he's going to sign different bills than the Freedom Caucus people would sign. I mean, the things that I care about as a Democrat, he's on the opposite side of every issue. And you know, so as I put it, I think we were talking about it at breakfast the other morning. I haven't put this out in writing yet, but it's a great line, so I'm going to have to use it. Eric Barlow is a Freedom Caucuser in Republican clothing. I just don't think he's different than that.
I will tell you, I talked to when we had our open house at the Laramie County Democrat office in the Paramount, I ran into one of the lobbyists for the Republican Party there. Because I said, would you like to come see our office? And she goes, oh, I just want to be honest with you, I'm a Republican, and I'm also a lobbyist for the Republicans. And she said, but I will tell you that Republicans are working to get rid of Freedom Caucus too. So I feel like we need to stand together as a party at this point and put ourselves out there for our party, because they're trying to clean up their own party anyway. It's not our job to do it.
Well, you're never going to catch me casting a ballot in the general election for a Republican in this state.
You used to be able to switch at the poll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you bringing this up. Thanks so much for bringing it up. You can't switch till after the general.
The other thing I read after the Cheney, when people went and voted for Cheney, because that momentum took a kind of a path and people were engaged, it drove the Republican vote out more that would typically have stayed home and voted.
I think that's true too. They knew we were switching. It's like nothing. Wyoming's a small town. And it's not like anything we're doing they don't know we're doing, right? I mean, they know that we're going to switch for Mr. Barlow, and so that's probably going to drive their turnout.
And then they send more money to the states.
Yeah.
So Barlow is a freedom guy and David Felder is
It's the same.
more freedom. There's nobody.
There's nobody on that side. I really thought that we had a really solid candidate for governor. I went to coffee with him yesterday, actually, and he unfortunately called me today and said he wasn't going to do it. Well, actually, what he said is, my doctor called and I need a pacemaker, and maybe I was a little too forceful. But anyway, I think we're going to get a governor candidate. But I think you make a really good point, Nancy, on the issues that we care about, on women's reproductive rights, on book banning, on funding public schools. He might talk about it differently than the Freedom Caucus does, but his votes are the same. And when I talk about the school funding thing, the thing that, it's not like he's out there saying we shouldn't fund public schools. What he is out there saying is we should reduce the severance tax on coal. Well, what are we going to do for money for schools if we don't have the severance tax from the coal? It's just math.
But I will say that I don't know how many of you guys were here when Recover Wyoming came about addiction stuff. And in Recovery World, we talk about harm reduction, right? So like, we celebrate that, not just stone cold sobriety, because if I have a fellow who went from drinking a half gallon of Potter's vodka and now he's drinking 6-pack a night, we're celebrating that because that's harm reduction. And we do have to consider that when we end up with a Degenfelder and an Eric Barlow. What is harm reduction? Well, one's endorsed by Trump and that's our, let's just face it. But before we get there, the world I work in is a lot of like social psychology and stuff, right? And when I share my domestic violence story or my brother died from alcoholism story, you know what happens? Every single person in that room goes, oh yeah, mine too, me too. And it's the same with being a Democrat. So more than I think what people are looking to see the numbers of registrants, we're listening to what our friends are saying at coffee. And if they're saying, I don't know, buddy, I got to register as a Republican to do the primary sorcery, right? That's what we hear, and we're like, oh, our friends are doing it. And this is a tale as old as time. This is a tale as old as 8th grade. That's the peer pressure. That's the strength in numbers thing. And so also for our candidates, when they're running, they don't get those votes, like it doesn't feel good. So we're asking them to put themselves out on the line for ridicule and just, you know, being eviscerated by somebody who can't use punctuation or contractions and then not voting for them. And that sucks. And that's just not good enough, I don't think. And so harm reduction, yeah, valid conversation, you know, when we get to the primaries, because that might be just what we're, you know, we might have to, who sucks the least, who's endorsed by Trump, whatever. But leading up to that, I think we have to change those coffee table conversations from, you know, let's go rogue. What do we have to lose, right? Like my dad would say, like, I'm 76, the hell do I got to lose? What are people going to do to me, right? So it's like, what are our friends doing starts with us. What are we doing? Or if you're going to be confident enough to stand up and say, like, you know, I have to stand with the party as a matter of good faith. And it changes things when you stand up and say something uncomfortable. Other people are more willing to do it next. So
It'd be nice to not be embarrassed about Wyoming.
yeah, and be a Democrat, right? Like,
well, seriously, it's all this 99% Republican and all this Trumpism and all that other crap.
yeah, well, it's not
You know,
true.
and you say you're from Wyoming, oh, well, you don't worry about Wyoming because they're gonna get it again. It's just, it's embarrassing.
Well, it's a little disillusion because I grew up in the Camelot, what I call the Camelot era of Democrats. Like, I grew up in Governor Sullivan's office, making everybody crazy, and it wasn't that long ago. Maybe I'm in denial on but it doesn't take that much to get back there, other than camaraderie and oh, you too, and a little peer pressure, but in the right direction. So that's my soapbox rant speech.
That's
about
a really good one.
staying registered is, you know, be the odd man out that makes everyone more confident to tell their story and be their authentic selves as Democrats.
Yes. Community.
And I will tell you something that makes me feel pretty good. For the same reason that you would switch, Lisa Kinney switched and was registered as a Republican. And I got her to switch back and run for U.S. House as a Democrat. And that, I feel pretty good about that.
Well, then you should run and get it through that persuasion.
Well,
No, we need him here because I can't do anything.
and the other thing about me running is, you know, I'm just not that likable.
You're a white male.
Well, that's.
I vote for a white male in this state.
She's politely saying nobody has to like you.
How much money we got in the pot?
Yeah.
Hey, how much money we got?
Bert, how much money we got?
Well, it's gonna be split, it's $43.
How many cards you got left?
So it's 80, it was 86 total.
Okay, so-
And so half is gonna be 43.
Okay.
Okay, so somebody needs to draw a card. It's not going to be me.
I have too many in my hand.
Okay, we have a 7 of hearts with the, I guess this is the blue back. All right, look at that.
Hearts was the thing. And just take that back. All right.
Wow, that deserves some applause. So Kathleen just gave us her half back. All right. That's all I had, y'all. I think this is a great meeting. I feel really good. I hope you guys feel good. It was a really good meeting. I'll see you next month. And meeting's adjourned. Let's go home.